Hello everyone and welcome to my review for Record of Ragnarok chapter 69. Nice. And you know what? This is a pretty nice chapter. It's pretty nice for a variety of reasons that I'm going to get into. But before that, if you haven't already, you should definitely be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss any future Record of Ragnarok uploads. I'd like to try and hit at least 50 likes on this month's review. Now then, without any further ado, let's get right into the chapter. First things first. I don't remember the last time we got a chapter this early. I mean, it has been forever since we got a chapter translated within, 2 days of the full Raws coming out. I'm trying to remember when the last time was. I think it was early on into round 7. This new scanlation group, I'm not sure if this is the new official group, because they don't have a big panel for all of the credits and stuff like they usually do. And I'm also pretty sure that the new group's going to be waiting to do high quality scans. So whoever did this, they did a pretty bang up job, I gotta say. It definitely takes me back to around the end of round 4, where we had someone doing effectively speed scan translations within 3 days. And then we had, was it a Rang at that point yet? I don't remember who exactly was doing it at that point. But, getting the higher quality one 2 weeks later. So it's making me a little nostalgic. As for a reason why the chapter's actually good, first things first, we got some really good character designs. Galileo looks amazing. This is just such a cool design. I really like it. It looks really different from everything else, in a way that's not kind of ridiculous like it sometimes is. Obviously Edison's here again. We see a few other people, Einstein's here. He's just kind of a little guy. It's neat. We have pretty much a lineup at one point of all of these scientists here watching this, and they all look like pretty distinct characters. It's really nice to see this, especially because, in my opinion, the last fight was definitely pretty lacking on the audience characters. There really weren't that many. You had what? A Proteus, and then some of the Chinese emperors existed, I guess, but I cannot remember a single one of them. Whereas these guys, they're all pretty cool looking. And they're all chilling together, which is nice. The other big reason that this is a good chapter is because it has abilities. And abilities. If you have been in the Record of Ragnarok fandom for a little while now, or if you've been on my Discord, you know that a lot of the fans are getting tired of the fighters, especially the god fighters, the gods, basically just being physical fighters and not having anything really resembling an ability. It's a little bit boring and doesn't make them seem very godlike. Thor's thing was mostly being really strong, but Mjolnir had various magical properties, and he could summon lightning. Zeus was able to stop time for a bit. Poseidon didn't really have an ability. I mean, he appeared to have hydrokinesis, but he never used it offensively. Heracles had the Herculean labors, but I don't think he really got too far into magical power territory with it, because it was mostly just big physical attacks, and then a physical buff. Shiva has had the closest thing to magical powers and stuff. He literally set himself on fire. It just started emanating flames, which was nice. Buddha has future sight, which is still kind of an ability, but he didn't have any offensive powers really. And Hajin is just kind of doing shapeshifting. And for the most part, Hades is just a guy who's Poseidon but not really fast. And then he has the blood thing, I guess, but that's really just weapon buffing. It's not him doing any big, crazy, magical shit. These guys are primarily ability fighters. Beelzebub's whole shtick, his gimmick is vibration. He's able to vibrate his body. Various jokes to be made about that. I guess that's why Lilith liked him so much. And he is able to effectively use that vibration as a weapon. He vibrates at such a high frequency that he's able to cut through a volant with his bare hand. And his ability is called the Devil's Wings Flapping, which I like. And it's a little bit of a mouthful for an ability name, but it's like a cool reference to him being the Lord of the Flies, I like it. I dig it. And then he has like a couple other powers that he uses as, actual named abilities relying on his innate power. So one of them seems to be a shield, which is known as Sorath Samek, Gates of Hell. Now, I'm not familiar with whatever Sorath Samek is. I know Beelzebub is described in series as being a Canaanite god, which I believe is somewhere in the Middle East. This is maybe having to do with like some like Mesopotamian stuff. Real ancient demons, which I like. I like the sort of ancient, occult, arcane feel that can be brought along with a character like Beelzebub. I'm a very big fan of it. And then he does an offensive attack, which I think has a visual metaphor, because I do not believe he is summoning a giant stand, although that would be really fucking cool. I don't believe this is a thing that is actually real, because no one's reacting to it. I imagine Beelzebub would be like, or not Beelzebub, Tesla would be like, what the fuck is that? What is this thing? This giant fly with a snake abdomen and giant bat wings. Sarato Vow, Fallen Angel's Gluttony. So, right out the gate, first real chapter of the fight, we're getting a bunch of really cool named abilities. Like, the abilities themselves are cool, and then they have cool names. Then we have Tesla's side of things with his Plasma Pulse Punch, which he comes up with the name for. A bunch of the scientists are like, like, it's alright, but, we could have thought of something better. And then Edison immediately coins it as PPP, triple P. And this chapter has a few jokes about Edison taking things that Tesla did and then, like, fucking commercializing them and stuff. I really like that. I'm really glad they acknowledged that, because I know there were a lot of people who were complaining about Edison during the Tesla reveal chapter. A lot of people are like, Edison's a fucking fraud, he just stole shit from Tesla. Which is definitely true to an extent. And I quite like that they're acknowledging that. So, there are like a couple of variants he gets, the jet pulse punch, the double plasma pulse punch. So far, a lot of his fighting style just seems to be, I do a big punch, but with electricity. And I don't have an issue with this because, he's doing like giant shockwaves on the ground and stuff. You don't have to get hit by his fist in order to take damage, and it is literally the first chapter of the fight. We have to start off relatively basic. I imagine he's going to be doing some more crazy shit, especially since at the end of this chapter, his right arm gets pretty damaged. It looks like the plasma generator is probably broken. So, he's going to have to start thinking of some different shit. And I would say a genius inventor is definitely the type of person you want to be thinking of different shit in the middle of a fight. I still believe that the suit will have some sort of transforming property. We're going to get different modes for the suit. I believe in it. That'd be really cool. It would also make sense, if you're going into a fight, you would probably want to have something with a lot of versatility, and Tesla seems like Well, it would just make sense for an inventor's weapon to be something that he can improve or alter depending on the situation. You know, just innovation kind of seems like something that should be part of his whole deal. Now, the last reason that I quite like this chapter, and not one that I think I've heard about too much, is that Tesla loses the power clash at the end of this chapter, and he's quite heavily damaged. You know, there's a big chunk taken out of his arm, he's bleeding from the head, the right arm on his suit looks pretty damaged, I don't think it's working anymore, and Beelzebub's looming over him going, I knew it, you can't do it either, you can't kill me. With a great panel at the end, by the way. I saw someone very recently, like 20 minutes before recording this, say that Beelzebub kind of seems like an anti-Poseidon. And I kind of see the comparison, where Poseidon was incredibly prideful and viewed everyone as beneath him and was just gonna squash them like bugs. Whereas with Beelzebub, he just wants to fucking die. He just wants to die, and he just has no faith in anyone's ability to kill him. He's just like, fuck. What a disappointment. I dig it. I like it a lot. I like these fighters so far. I like their dynamic. But most importantly, I like that things are not going well for Tesla pretty much right out of the gate. Do you know why? It's because the humans have been doing really well for a while. The starting vibe for Ragnarok was really something, because the gods always felt unbeatable. They felt insurmountable to an extent. Yeah, Lubu was clashing with Thor, but Thor kind of mid-diffed him, so everyone was like, oh fuck, the strongest human got mid-diffed by Thor. Like, the worst that Lubu did was leave, like, a big cut on his chest, and that was it. Like, Thor has taken the least damage out of any winner in Ragnarok. The Adam vs. Zeus fight was close, but that threw us even more into despair and uncertainty, because the actual strongest human could not win. Fuck. And that's part of why Round 3 is so effective, is because we already have humanity at large being an underdog, and then Kojiro's gimmick straight up being that he's an underdog, and that entire fight being based around Poseidon being an insurmountable obstacle that Kojiro needs to grow to overcome. And then that's why Round 4 is really interesting, coming after those ones, because now Heracles feels like the underdog. Not because he's weaker than Jack, but because Jack is such a scheming, conniving, evil mastermind that it's very questionable if Heracles' pure heart and brute strength would be able to defeat him. Ultimately, the brute strength doesn't, but the pure heart does. Among various reasons why Round 4 is still one of the best, arguably the best. But then after we're past that, you know, the 3 rounds following that, the human fighters are either on par with their god opponent from the start, or seemingly just straight up better than them. Like, Raiden kicks the shit out of Shiva for like the first half of their fight. Buddha kicks the shit out of Zarafuku for the entire time Zarafuku's doing stuff. We had to transform him into a different deity who is literally Buddha's mythological arch nemesis in order to make it an actual physical fight. And in the last round, most of it was just Shin nullifying the vast majority of the things that Hades was doing and then just shooting air bubbles at him. Yeah, so I like that we're getting the humans are at a bit of a disadvantage here from the start. But this is not a bad sign for Tesla, because he's Tesla. His whole shtick is learning things, thinking of things. I mean, we have his initial reaction to Beelzebub's ability and him discerning, oh yeah, you know, this reminds me a lot of like an ultrasonic cutter. Oh, I see you're using vibrations. Fascinating. Alright, I know how this works. It makes me wonder if Beelzebub's going to pull out more abilities that aren't vibration-centric, And Tesla has to try and figure out how those works. If they become progressively more ridiculous, and it becomes harder and harder for him to figure out how they work, which I want. I want, Tesla's big emotional struggle in this fight to be encountering something that he can't figure out, something that he doesn't understand, something that science cannot explain, and trying to think of an explanation for it. That would be really good. That would be great, actually. Yeah. I think there was probably something more I wanted to say, but I forgot. I did not remember it. Can I think of it at some point in the next 10 seconds? No, I like this. This fight's off to a really good start thus far. We've basically been getting everything that we wanted. We're getting all of the big, crazy, magical abilities that we've desired. Oh, that's what it was. I imagine next chapter is going to be Tesla trying to figure out how the fuck that last attack worked, because we know it's vibration, but it was, ridiculously powerful. And where was it being summoned from? So he's probably going to be trying to figure out shit like that. This seems like Beelzebub's first big ability. This is the first chapter of the fight. He's super going to have more really powerful attacks like this. Speaking of, I think Beelzebub, yeah, actually, he's one of the stronger gods. He's up there. It seems we were correct way back when, thinking yeah, if he's basically Satan, probably top 4 gods, at least. Vibrations are strong. They're very powerful. Yeah, I'm very curious to see how the character development goes for both of these fellows. But overall, really good chapter, really good start to the fight. I think this is the most excited a Ragnarok chapter has made me in quite some time. I'm sure you've been able to kind of detect it in my voice, my generally monotone voice. But also the fact that this review is dragged on for more than 17 minutes. And, well, it's not the longest chapter ever. It's basically just a fight chapter, and for a fight chapter to inspire this much of a desire to speak in me, well, that just takes me back to why I started this channel in the first place, so I'm very happy about that. But yeah, I guess with that, that's all for this month's review. If you enjoyed, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click that notification bell so you don't miss any of my uploads. I do Record of Ragnarok chapter reviews every month. If you enjoy discussing Record of Ragnarok with other people, or you just enjoy the content I produce on this channel, I highly suggest check out my Discord server. I have a link to that down in the description. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys around. Take care.